Humanity's fascination with horror is a testament to our complex psychology and our enduring curiosity about the darker aspects of life. From ancient folklore to modern cinema, our obsession with horror has woven itself into the fabric of our culture. It's a genre that taps into our deepest fears, serving as a means to confront and process the anxieties that lurk within our collective subconscious. Whether through spine-tingling tales of the supernatural or the exploration of the human capacity for cruelty, horror allows us to explore the boundaries of our emotions and the fragility of our existence. It offers a peculiar blend of fear and exhilaration, reminding us that in the face of the unknown, our imagination is both a source of dread and a powerful tool for understanding the mysteries of our world.
I'm Spoopy Autumn, and I love anything creepy, horror related. I have since I was a wee lass. I've been watching horror movies since I was at least 6, and before that, whatever scary parts in the cartoons, love that stuff.
Yeah.
And you are?
I'm Commander Joop.
Yes.
Um, if you know me from my streams, I like to stream spooky games whenever I can. I also have liked spooky things since as long as I can remember. I know on my stream the other day we had the epiphany that I thought I watched Buffy a lot later than I did, and I realized I was only 11 when I started watching that. That's not like the most spooky, but it gets, you know,
It can be,
it
especially
can
if you're
get
11.
spooky. It can definitely get spooky. Um, But yeah, I don't even know. I don't know why I like spooky things so much. Cause I'm like looking back on because I've been thinking about it for this podcast. And like looking back, neither of my parents like spooky things.
Really? I thought you said your mom did a little.
Not like I do. Like
Yeah.
she watches them, but she's not like super into them. Whereas I would like, Follow Woman and I have been going through the marathon of watching every spooky movie I didn't get to watch
Yeah.
as a kid because my parents wouldn't let me watch things. But
Mine just
yeah.
on the weekends they would just be out having one of their garage parties.
Hmm.
That's a whole story in itself. And I'd be just hanging out in the living room watching our Showtime and HBO and got into the Jason Voorhees stuff and whatever else. And once in a while someone would walk in and be like, that's just like ketchup, right? I'm like, yes, I
Oh my
know.
gosh. That that reminds me of one of the first traumatizing moments Minnie Jupe had watching something.
Oh no.
And I probably told you this story.
Yeah.
We were watching Iron Fist. And he'd come in the room and he was like, "Oh, can I watch this with you?" And he was very small. He was like 5 at the most. I don't even remember anymore. Just see when Iron Fist came out, I'd be able to tell you then. But
Yeah.
um and we're like, oh yeah, no problem. This movie, like this show has been it's just been kung fu. It's no worse than the Ninja Turtles you watch right now. Like I
Hmm.
don't even think they've had that much blood, so it's fine. You can watch it. Sits down to watch it with us. There was a thing going on where someone was trying to send a message, so they opened up a place they're investigating, and there was just a line of heads on pikes. And this poor kid is like, ah! Notably has been obsessed with horror ever since.
See, there are two types of kids, I think, in this world. There's the ones who get traumatized forever and never watch it again, and there's the ones who get traumatized forever and love it. And that's me.
Yeah, yeah. I've been wondering what got me into horror. It must be something I don't remember,
It's something you blocked
like
out.
something I blocked out because I cannot for the life of me remember what got me into horror. But I've always loved it. I've always loved being scared.
Yeah.
I've always loved the spooky ghost stories.
Wodos and I were talking about it a week or so ago. Hell, it could have been 3 months. I don't know.
Time.
Yeah, right. Um, and we're talking about like the cartoons we watched growing up. There would like be like some spooky elements and stuff in some of them, like in Bugs Bunny and whatnot. There was this Scaredy Cat, an episode of where Porky Pig and Tom the cat were
Hmm.
staying in like a haunted mansion or something, and that's one of the first things that I kind of remember. It's like got all these creepy mice that are trying to kill Tom,
Oh wow.
and they're like they have like executioner masks and axes and yeah, just
Yeah.
elements that kind of eased me into it, I guess, from little cartoons and whatnot.
Yeah, there's probably things like that here and there that just like intrigued me that I saw slowly or something. Because I don't, I mean, again, if I blocked it out, how would I know? But
Yeah,
I don't remember anything specific that made me go, oh, I love horror. Or
yeah,
just, I've always been into the darker stuff.
yeah,
And I don't know why.
yeah. Actually, I it wasn't until I was like 19 that I realized that I was like obsessed with horror and all that stuff. I'm like, this is like I've been this way forever, and I just fucking love it.
Yeah, it just brings me joy, which is really weird.
Yeah,
But I mean, maybe part of it could even be too like that it was forbidden for me, so it made me want to
yeah,
check it out even harder. And then I
yeah.
was like, this isn't that big of a deal. Like, so I remember when Scream came out, I was in like public school, and all my friends were like, I got to watch Scream, and I'm like, oh, what's Scream? And they're like telling me about it. I'm like, I want to watch that, and like, but my parents wouldn't let me, and I don't even know if I actually wanted to watch Scream or if it was just FOMO.
Yeah.
You're like I want to be like the cool kids and stay up late and watch horror movies, you know? But
Well, yeah. And they always had like Halloween episodes of stuff growing up too,
yeah.
which I still appreciate so much to this day.
I suppose you know what probably did hook me onto horror, now that I think of it?
Hmm.
Simpsons Halloween episodes.
Oh God, Treehouse of Horror. Yeah,
Yeah, that's probably what got me because I
yeah.
remember the first time they showed the Telltale Heart
Mm-hmm.
and the Raven one.
Yeah,
Is it
yeah,
called the Raven?
yeah.
Yeah. Like I fucking loved those so much. That is probably what got me hooked now that I think of it. Because I can't think
Quote
of anything I would have seen earlier.
quote the Raven, eat my shorts. I think that's what they did.
That sounds about right. It's been a long
Yeah,
time. I can't remember now for
I
sure,
love. I
but
try to watch at least a few of the Treehouse of Horrors every year around Halloween time.
yeah, some of them. What did we watched one recently, and I was like, I can't believe they actually did this, but I don't remember what it was. I don't think it was a Junji Ito episode, but it might have been.
I'm not as familiar with Junji Ito stuff yet, but yeah.
Oh, we need to do a
I
Junji
know.
Ito episode.
Wodos keeps telling me that should be some of my homework. I was gonna say we could assign each other homework if we want to.
That
I
should
need
do.
to watch
I
some of that.
still need to get through some Junji Ito. We recently discovered Junji Ito has a Frankenstein comic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we bought it,
Nice.
and I've been slowly reading it. But
Is it
it really is
disturbing?
just the story of Frankenstein in Junji Ito style. So it's like, okay, but I have only gotten to it picking up right now, so
Yeah.
we'll see. Um,
I get him confused with. He's not the spiral guy.
he is a Spiral guy.
He is okay.
I haven't seen Spirals yet, though. Like, I haven't read that
Me
one.
neither. Yeah.
I've just read the one with the mountain with the holes in it, Amigara Fault or whatever it is. I always pronounce it wrong.
Mm.
I've seen the snail one. I've heard about the balloon one.
I think I've seen the snail one. Is it a chick turns into a snail in a garden somewhere?
Yeah, basically, like, yeah. That I think that one hit me really hard.
Oversimplification, but yeah.
That's a huge
Yeah.
oversimplification. It's like,
Sorry,
yeah, she just
Junji
turned
Ito.
into a snail, no big. It's like, no, it's yes, but it is slow and terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just watching her parents helplessly watch it happen is probably the scariest part of it.
Yeah.
And it just,
Absolutely.
he's so good at getting that.
And
Um,
he's the one who's like in real life he's all like shiny and happy and
yes.
And then there's this other dude who does shiny happy stuff, but he looks dark and goth as fuck.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
remember who that is.
Miyazaki, but not the
Yeah,
Miyazaki of Dark Souls, the Miyazaki of Ghibli films.
yeah, that's it.
But yeah, the Hayao Miyazaki, the guy that does all the Ghibli films, he is kind
Yeah.
of dark and depressing in real life.
Yeah.
And then Junji Ito's all like, "Oh, that's so cute."
Yes, I love it. That's funny.
There's a clip somewhere where he'd watched something that was nowhere near as scary as the shit he makes, and it like startled him, and he was like, "Oh, that's so scary." I gotta find it somewhere, but yeah,
That's funny.
I haven't read all this stuff, but I can't even like when you give a synopsis of what they are,
Uh-huh.
they don't sound that scary.
Yeah, well, that's true for a lot of stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but it
Yeah.
feels more so for him because like it's the process, it's the how he expresses it that makes it that much scarier.
Yeah.
And maybe not even scary is not even the right word. It's just chilling, and it's like makes you go, "Oh God!" Like I can't even describe it, but
Just the psychological horror of it.
yeah, he hits the psychological horror, which is usually it used to be the stuff I preferred. Now I'm just like, just give me horror. I don't care. Like
Yeah.
I definitely
Yeah.
like psychological, but I'm
I like it.
totally
I'm down to like all the horror, like even the worst horrible indie.
oh my God.
Yeah, except for Birdemic. That
Oh
sucks.
God.
But it's supposed to, and everybody like it's cult classic or whatever. But
That's the thing with horror movies is you never know exactly what you're gonna get because like
that's why I
Bird,
have no expectations or
yeah,
whatever when I go into them, or try not to.
it's hard to, especially if people like
Yeah,
it. But
yeah.
like Birdemic. You know what movie sounds just as dumb as Birdemic?
Hmm.
Zombievers.
Oh, you've seen that, right?
Yeah,
I haven't
Zombievers was
watched it
really
yet.
good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I wouldn't say it's such a good movie. It's definitely a bad horror movie, but it's like they hit it right, you know?
Yeah. They knew what they were about,
Yeah,
and they didn't
yeah,
take themselves
exactly.
seriously like Birdemic.
Oh, that's the yeah. You can't have a
Yeah.
dumb premise and take yourself seriously.
Yeah.
But
I'm learning that part of making like any movies actually, especially horror movies, is like you don't have to take yourself as seriously as you think you do. Like one of
yeah,
my instructor, my horror film class or my film class instructor says you don't be so precious about your idea.
I like that.
Thank you, Lisa.
I think that's good advice for like anything, because like anything
Yeah,
creative, because like if you get too hung up on your original
right.
vision, right? If anything deters from that, but is better, you might be like, oh no, no, I want this, and it's like, eh. But as
Yeah,
things grow, sometimes what you originally envisioned is not what's best. So
right. Right. And I think kind of like in a way I'm like an extreme perfectionist, but I use it
same.
kind of as an excuse to not do shit. Like if it can't be amazing and award winning, then I'm not even gonna start because it's stupid and I'm stupid.
I'm with you there.
Yeah, but I have to get over that.
Yeah, I think that is one thing that with streaming has helped me with, because like having to do things live, everything goes wrong all the time.
Yeah,
Like, so it's kind of helped me to be like, sometimes it's enough is good enough, and
yeah.
you can't be perfect off the start,
I
and
think
or ever.
yeah, I think that's a lifelong process for every facet of life, really. Not to get too deep right
we
now, but
we're here for
it'll.
talk about spoopy things and give life advice. We're spoopy life
Yeah,
coaches.
spoopy life coaches. I like it. Yeah. So why, if you don't mind me just jumping into something here, um, we're kind of talking about that, but like, why do we want to do this? I mean, that's why are we interested? We talked about that, yeah.
A little
But
bit. Well, we talked about why we're interested in horror.
I just need
This
I need an outlet, I think, to geek out more about it, frankly.
that's fair.
Because I don't like go out to our local horror club thing very much these days because I'm such a homebody and I should. I feel like I've lost a lot of street cred there, so I want to like be like, I'm still in the game, damn it. I'm Spoopy Autumn. I just spoopy homebound Autumn a lot, and
And I
I
can be
don't have a lot
like,
of free time.
hey, look, I made a spoopy podcast. Street cred.
Yeah, that's right.
I just really like the idea. It's really weird. A lot of the podcasts I listen to are just people talking about shit.
Yeah,
And it's surprising how like interesting it is just to listen to people you don't really know talk about stuff.
yeah,
And so like I know because it was this thing was Spoopy's baby.
yeah. It's
If
I've always wanted to do something like this.
was it
Mm.
well, I know you've always wanted to do something like this specifically, but were we talking about spoopy stuff on my stream or something? Or was it we were
Probably.
playing I don't remember what something prompted it and you were like, "Oh man, we should totally do a podcast called like Spoop N Joop where like Spoop N Joop talk about stuff." And I'm like, "That's amazing."
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
glad
and
you were down.
I was immediately like, "Yes."
Yes. And I didn't. Neither one of us meant for it to rhyme. It just happened that way organically.
Oh,
It's
what did
very
you
great.
we just
Spoop and Joop.
every time we end up on someone's stream we know we yell Spoop and Joop and
Yeah,
so that
it's
just
gonna be a
became
thing. Damn it.
yeah, now it's a thing.
Someday we're gonna sell stickers with Joop with like 45 O's.
Joop.
Joop. Yeah.
But yeah, I just when as soon as you said it, I was like, that is something I would watch. Like just some people chatting about horror stuff.
Yeah. And to our eventual listeners and watchers and stuff, we would love all your suggestions and questions and stories and everything
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
And comments.
I freaking love podcasts about people just talking about like what was the one that Wodos recommended me? It was Supernatural by Ashley Flowers was one.
Hmm.
There's tons out there, just spooky podcasts that are just really interesting and you just hear people's stories and it's like I love that stuff. So I was like also a little selfishly, it's just really fun to just sit and talk about spooky things.
Yeah. Like to have an assigned time slot to actually be able
Yeah.
to do it and nerd out and know that I'm not monopolizing or directing the conversation towards spoopy things like I try to do sometimes.
I mean, which still
But
never a
I'm
problem with me on
supposed
any given day, but now we have a designated time slot with which
Yes.
to do it, and it
Exactly.
is, it's good.
Yeah, I love it.
Exactly.
What do you want to do movies like one of your a horror movie that's left one of the biggest impressions on you?
I'm gonna think about that one.
I hate the what's your favorite horror movie because it's like I can't choose between my children.
Right.
Like my
Right.
favorite genre I could probably say is the zombie genre or post-apocalyptic kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, I know like we've had that bit of that conversation with like Paul River and stuff recently because like Michael Myers is my favorite slasher.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you were to look at the quality of the movies, his are not the best. Except for the new trilogy.
Those are great.
That new trilogy is fucking amazing. But
The first one was a classic.
the first Halloween is amazing. The second one's still pretty
Yeah.
good.
The third one is I love it, but it's not. Yeah.
My
It's
problem
not
with the
Michael.
third one is no one warned me.
Yeah.
It didn't have Michael Myers, and I picked it because I wanted a
Yeah.
Michael Myers movie. It's the same reason I didn't like Alien 1. That I'm sure I would like Alien 1 if I went to go watch it again. But, because like when I look back on it, I'm like, no, that was a good movie, Alien 1.
Yeah.
But I picked Alien that day because I wanted the only Alien movie I had seen at that point was Resurrection because I was sneaking movies.
Yeah.
That my parents wouldn't let me watch, and that was the one that came out on the movie network or whatever. So I was able to sneak it at my mom's house.
Yeah.
Just she didn't care if I watched horror movies. It was my dad who cared. Um, but so I went in expecting like I knew that Aliens was what it's about. My experience of the Alien franchise had been it's people fighting aliens as an action movie. That's scary, not it's a horror movie. That's psychological. So that was what I was in the mood for. I sat down and watched Alien, and I was like, this is terrible.
Wow.
It's not that it's bad, because looking back, I'm like, no, this was scary because of this. This was great because of this. Like,
Yeah.
very Thing vibes. It was very good, but
Yeah.
it wasn't what I was in the mood for. And same with Halloween 3.
Yeah. A lot of people are pissed about 3, but
And
yeah.
like looking back, it's like it definitely had a lot of potential. I should rewatch it again later.
Yeah.
Would have had some time away from it, but I was like, no, I picked this because I wanted to watch Michael Myers murder people.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
You know,
Um,
Halloween 3, I think, is probably the first Halloween I actually ever saw.
well, there you go. Then you didn't have any
I'd
expectations, right?
seen parts of the first one, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing the time in your life that you watch the movie and the time that the movie actually comes out and which one you see first in a series too that all affect how you view the.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know a lot of people hate Alien Resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it was the first one I got to watch. I was just excited to finally, because I had tried watching Aliens on TV once, the second one, and my dad walked in while Ripley was in. It was before she even got out there. She was still on Earth when she's in her room.
Mm-hmm.
That segment where she's having like the weird dream about the
Yeah.
aliens and stuff. Yeah, and that was all I'd watched. And they cut out most of the gross stuff because it was for TV viewing.
Yeah.
My dad walked in and was like, "You can't watch this," and turned it off. And I was like,
Wait.
"But I want to watch it. Why? I was interested."
It's a movie about a cat, right?
Yeah, right. So like when I finally got to watch an alien movie, any alien movie with 4, I didn't have any, first of all, any context for what came first. I just knew what xenomorphs looked like because pop culture,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I didn't see anything weird about all the things that people are upset about, like the experiments in the tanks and all that shit.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like this is just a fun, maybe not a fun movie, but it's an entertaining movie. And so when I like started talking to people about it, they're like, "Oh, that movie was terrible." I'm like, "I watched it 4 times in a week. I was just so like because my parents had recently split up. My mom had moved away a few hours away, and they were still getting on their feet, so they were living with my stepdad's family at the time. So I was sleeping on the living room couch when I'd visit them.
Oh
So
wow.
I was like
So
literally
Resurrection was one of your coping mechanisms?
I don't know if it's a coping mechanism. I was just really excited. Like I also lived in a
Yeah.
small town where we didn't get cable. And now I'm
Yeah.
visiting my mom in the big city,
Right. I
a few hours
understand that for
away.
sure.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I can watch the movie network now? Well, fuck yeah, I'm watching it every night. And then what they're showing is Alien Resurrection. I will watch it 4 times this week. And I was going to
Right.
bed with it. That's how I was falling asleep.
That's amazing.
So
How old were
like,
you?
well, my parents split up, so I'd have been like 12.
That's a good age for it.
Yeah, 12 at the latest. I don't. It would have been anywhere between 10 and 12 because I can't remember the exact timeline of when my mom. Like I know they split up and she moved out when I was like just a few months before I turned 11. So and then by the time she moved away from town, it would have been a couple years. I might have even been 13 or 14, but so I don't remember the exact timeline.
Right.
But it was somewhere. I was definitely younger than 14 because I was still in public school and it was the summer that I was traveling there. I just don't remember when she lived there.
Hmm. That's about the age that I really start getting into horror, I think. I mean, I'd seen stuff before and it scared the crap out of me as a young child and but I was still kind of like so addicted to it already.
I know, it's so addicting. I don't even know
I would
why.
watch it and then like be scared at night and
I don't know, maybe just because how much I don't know. It's something I've always tried to figure out about myself. So I'm kind of like, maybe that's part of what drew me to this too, is like, I just like seeing how people tick. I like hearing about people's life experiences.
yeah.
And like, I could have no idea who this person is I'm listening to. I like hearing those things. And I find people that like horror movies and horror things
Hmm.
are more interesting than most people.
I think so. I think
Yeah,
like well, of course I'm biased because
I'm a little biased.
yeah, we're so much more
We're
interesting.
so cool.
I think though it's like we're not afraid to just experience and talk about things that are more on the fringe of society as it is.
Maybe
and
that's
like
what it is.
the boundaries that things I I feel anyway.
Yeah, because I know, like, not that there's anything wrong with liking any of these things necessarily. I don't connect with most people. Like, the things they're into, like reality TV on its own, not necessarily, because I know lots of people that like reality TV. You are one of them,
I am.
but you take the different things away from the reality TV than they did too. Like, it's just when you'd hear them complain about people on reality TV or talk about reality TV, it's a totally different conversation than the ones you tell me about when you watch reality TV. And like, I
Yeah.
totally watch reality TV too. I just don't have
Yeah.
TV. I totally used to watch reality TV all the time when I actually had TV. Um, but now I just stream and I don't like.
I think I approach things with more of a like a an observer and
Mhm.
just like a study of society and humanity
Mhm.
than
Yeah.
like being emotionally invested in who the people are
And I
so
think that's
much,
the
maybe.
difference because you're like, this is wild. What is
Yeah.
going on? And they're like, oh my god, did you see that episode? It's so crazy. And
Yeah.
then they're like, I can't believe they so and so did this. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah. I don't know.
And I don't. It just whatever they take away from it, I've never connected with. Because I
Yeah.
love it when you give me updates.
Well, I'm also probably having a s'more and also just experiencing it differently.
There could be that. That could be
Yeah.
part of it too. I don't know. I don't relate. I don't relate to a lot of people, but anytime I do relate to people, 5% of the time they're horror fans,
Yeah.
and they're just
I
really
have
into horror.
my closest friends have a streak of horror fan in them, if not
Yeah,
more.
it's
Like
just I don't know what it is about it.
they're all real fringy people. Like I mean, depending on who you ask, they're just not like I don't even know what word to use these days, but they're just like not what society expects to
Yeah,
just be like right in the middle and follow the rules kind of shit.
and I'm sure that sounds like so totally cliche and stuff, but I've never really felt like I fit in with most of society.
Same, and I've
Yeah.
been revisiting that a lot lately,
Yeah, let's go get a commune.
especially in therapy.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Yeah,
and like anyone who I find I connect with because they also don't fit in, or at least, and again, this is so strange still like to think of, but I find people into horror movies tend to have more empathy.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean obviously not. Maybe it's just people I meet and keep around. Maybe that I don't just only
it
notice
could
that,
be. Yeah, I
But
think
I've
I
also
still
heard
pick
there's
and
been
choose
studies on
who
that.
the horror fans that I am
Yeah.
friends with, that I stay friends with. But yeah, the community that I'm like in here, and it's kind of connected all over the world thanks to conventions and internet and everything.
Mhm.
It's such a tight knit family,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah. And then
and yeah.
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know. I don't know what I was gonna say.
I wish I was say I love hearing stories about how nice all the actors who play the killers are.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And yeah, like Kane Hodder, he was like my first real. Oh, because Jason's my boyfriend.
Mhm.
I love Jason. And the first horror convention I ever went to, I got to meet him. He was there, and it was like a brand new horror convention too. So like
Oh.
there were not many people there, so I got to just like hang out and talk to him, and like we had a special dinner, and there were like 3 of us
Wow. Okay, so that's like really
fans
like
fans in the dinner, and it was like yeah, he wasn't there, but like Alex Vincent from Child's Play was part of it, and Alan Kaiser from Night of the Creeps, and Bubba from Mama's Family, and yeah, that was. But sorry, I'm
no, I
just
don't know.
going
So I
off.
don't think I know Night of the Creeps.
Oh,
Let me
you
look
have
it
to
up.
watch.
It's on my list. I'm
Yeah,
gonna add it to my list.
it's a it's a goofy ass sort of sci-fi horror from the 80s, and it's a cult classic. But it might be one of those where you had to have watched it at the age you were when it came out in the 80s to really appreciate it. I don't know.
I love rewatching things from the 80s that I say rewatching. Watching things from the 80s I've never seen before that I missed because I was too young or like
Tom Atkins is in it.
why do I
He's
know that name? Was he the
he's
guy in
the
3?
Halloween 3? Yes.
Yeah, okay. I was like, I
Dr.
know that guy.
Chalice. Yeah. But yeah, I was talking about Kane Hodder. Kane Hodder's amazing.
I've
He's so
heard he's
great.
really awesome.
I just kind of shuffled up to his table, and the first thing I said was, "You're the reason I came here because you're my favorite." And he's like, "Oh, you're gonna make me blush."
Aww.
And then he choked me.
Oh. That's awesome.
That was that was a lifelong dream come true there.
Be choked by Jason Voorhees, yeah.
Yeah, and he is Jason to me. I mean, I'm no disrespect to anyone else who's played Jason except for one of them is kind of a douchebag, but I won't say. But
No respect to or disrespect to anyone but that guy.
but that he's a little bit douchey. But yeah, he's been the Jason the most, and he's done so much. Like he's been Jason and Freddy, and yeah, horror fans know all this already, but it's new to us talking about it. So also made
Yes.
me think of Bill Moseley. I got to ask him about playing Otis Firefly and if that was a difficult, and he was just like, yeah,
What's
because
that from?
he's House of a Thousand Corpses and The
Okay.
Devil's
Yeah.
Reject and
I have not seen those ones.
3 from Hell.
I think Spoopy's gonna give me a lot of homework. I have a lot of
Well, I have a lot of homework also.
yeah.
Because like I grew up and most of my horror diet has been American produced, so like until The Ring and The Grudge came out,
Oh my
I was
god. I think
I hadn't seen too much international. Maybe a few
Asian
Giallo, but
Asian horror hits me the hardest, I
yeah.
find.
Like I don't remember. I might have been like 19 when The Grudge came out or The Ring. The Ring came out first, didn't it? The American version. I'm talking about Japanese horror, like it's, and
I
then
mean,
I'm
the
talking about the
American
fucking American
versions
version.
were still scary.
Yeah.
Like, because I know The Grudge, like, The Ring scared me, but, like, you know, whatever. It was like, I was young
The
when that
Ring
came
compared to
out.
The Grudge, The Ring's kind of like, well,
The
yeah.
ghosts. Something about creepy Japanese rage ghosts freak me out the most.
They I don't know why I don't want to be like generalizing, but it seems to me that like when I'm looking at horror, like specifically Japanese horror,
Hmm.
um, they do a lot with women's hair, and I don't
They
know
do.
if that's a cultural thing, but they know what they're doing.
Well,
Why are you making Japanese women so fucking scary? My God.
and maybe that was what hit with The Grudge so hard, because I find child ghosts and female ghosts are usually the scariest, especially Japanese ones though. So I think that's why The Grudge. But I know like with Japanese culture, there's a lot of like everything has spirits. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know like it doesn't matter what media it is either, because I'm gonna keep bringing Dead by Daylight up a lot because I'm obsessed with that game. But like the one killer on that game, Spirit, is a Japanese rage ghost.
Hmm.
And she freaks me out the most. And she definitely has the
Yeah.
whole hair thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
Probably
know.
made by people who cleaned a lot of Japanese bathtub drains.
Well, hair. Well,
Or mine, even.
I can't even place what it is, but just something about
I
Asian horror hits harder.
I wasn't like I think The Grudge really was the first time I was truly impressively terrified
Yeah.
of a female ghost. I
Hmm.
hate to say that, but I was raised on the classic 80s misogynist titties and blood, which I'm still a big fan of, I
I
have to say.
oh,
Sorry,
I
but
am probably a
yeah.
terrible feminist, but
I
but
think
I
you
love
can be
it.
a feminist and love titties and blood. I wanted to talk about Kayako. Oh,
What's
that actress,
Kayako?
I'm sorry, I can't remember the actress's name, but She did all her own
Yeah.
stunts. There wasn't any like camera like special effects or anything. All that like freaky movement and shit was all her. And props, my god. Crawling down the stairs? That whole scene? Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just seeing the pictures of the crawling down the stairs right now. And I'm like, oh fuck, I forgot how scary that was.
yeah. Giving Reagan McNeil a run for her money, I gotta say.
Is that the person from
That's uh The Exorcist.
Thank you, that's the word.
Her crab walk down the stairs.
I'm aware of that one.
Yeah.
But I haven't that's another one I haven't seen yet. So
Takako Fuji.
Takako
Takako
Fuji.
Fuji. Props to her.
You rock Takako Fuji.
Yes.
Yeah, not to like make like I know I'm like part of a spooky podcast and I haven't heard half of it.
Same here. I feel that way when you're talking about like Junji Ito, and so that's gonna be your
Yeah.
homework to me.
Well, there's just like a lot of it I missed out on because, like I said, my parents wouldn't let me watch things. So I'm slowly making my way through all the horror movies I would love but haven't had a chance to watch because my parents wouldn't let me.
Yes.
But there's so much.
Yeah.
And like especially like the 80s and 90s, like
Which is my jam.
yeah, they have so many good horror movies back then. I know like one of the ones on our because I know you guys have watched House, I think, right? That's
Yeah.
a huge one on our list that Fallen Ribbons wanted me to watch forever.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's also Asian horror.
House. Oh, that house. Sorry.
Yeah,
I was thinking about
different house.
a different.
There's
80s
so many
movie.
houses.
House. Yeah, I honestly I might lose some cred, but I'm not a big fan of Hausu.
Okay.
I think it just goes over into the fantastical a little too much for me and not
Gotcha.
scary, and I don't know
Mhm,
exactly what it is, but yeah. Definitely you definitely watch it.
Yeah,
And
I
we can
need to at
talk about it.
least watch it so I give an opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
That is one of my favorite things to do after, and again, one of the reasons I was so excited to do this. I love discussing movies, especially with people who don't agree with me.
Wow. All right, cool.
Because I like hearing why they felt differently. It
Yeah.
depends too. Like it has to be someone I can talk to.
Yeah, of
'Cause
course.
I know, like if we don't disagree, like if we don't disagree, if we don't agree, we're not going to be like, well, fuck you,
Fuck you, you're stupid.
you're
Clint.
dumb, and I
Yeah.
hate your opinions. Yeah, like
I
we're not going to
hate
get
your
that.
opinions.
We're just going to be like, oh, okay, that's cool, and that's
Yeah.
interesting, and we'll carry
Yeah.
on. And that
Like
I like doing that.
I have a good friend who like is kind of one of my main spoopy watchers.
Mhm.
She comes over for Friday the 13th stuff,
Okay. Okay.
and she's the one who like she came over and we watched
Mhm.
Hausu, and she loves it. So there are a few things that we kind of like branch off from,
Mhm.
and like I'm not a fan of that, but
Yeah.
she'd probably be a good person to be on the podcast if she wants.
We definitely
I'll have to ask
should.
her. Yeah.
She's actually one of the people in my head too that I thought of because
Yeah.
I don't know her, but I feel like I know her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell her I said that. But
Yeah. Well, she can hear it right now
yeah,
if she listens.
yeah. Are you listening? Random
listening?
person we're not going to name,
Random.
but you know who you are.
Yeah. She needs a nickname. I'll call her Pineapple.
Pineapple? Okay.
Yeah.
And when she comes on, I'm like, this is pineapple.
Uh-huh.
I know for me too, I get really, this is something that I know Fallen Wyvern enjoys, but I get really nerdy about the small stuff in movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not just the production stuff, but like the small subtle storytelling bits. Excuse me. And that is something that if a movie has that, I will nerd out to the point of tears over it. And it might not even be that great or interesting.
I love it.
But like
definitely.
Like in the newer Halloween trilogy, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it. Mute it for a bit. It's a small thing, it's not main story at all. But one of the things is at one point there's the two cops watching the house.
Uh-huh.
And they're arguing over like the one guy was like, I bought you a sandwich. and then it was Bon Me, and he was all like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you keep trying to make me try all this stuff," and he's like, "I'm just wanting to broaden your horizons," and they're having like a bickering like old married couple fight,
Yeah.
and I'm like, this is not what's important right now, but I am like, and I think I talked about that off and on to both Wodos and Falling Wyvern. Just like I went on for like an hour at Falling Wyvern about how amazing it was that they wrote that bit because it doesn't matter to
Yes.
the story at all, but you're learning something about someone's life. And
Yeah.
like they're probably gonna get killed in 30 seconds, but like that tells a big story because like that guy's not open to trying new things and this guy really
Yeah.
cares about him and just wants to help him and like
I love that, and to me, it also shows an insight into the writer's, like,
yeah.
mentality and, like, just shiny thing that they like,
Mhm.
and,
Yeah.
it always makes me wanna, like, talk to the writer or director or whoever's, like, whatever I'm focusing on and, like, ask them why they made that decision and what drove that choice, and
Mhm.
hopefully we'll be able to do that at some point.
Yeah. I hope so because that's something I love talking about that shit.
It takes some talent to be able to concisely, like, throw an entire character and wrap them up at the audience and then kill them off. Yeah.
Yeah. And I
And
think
it takes
that's
some heartlessness, and I like
yeah.
that. I
Uh-huh.
appreciate
Uh-huh. Well, that's
it.
one of the things I like about horror so much is because they do that a lot. Like it literally does not matter to the story that they're telling you about this character because
Mhm,
they're going to be alive for 2 minutes.
mhm.
And I find horror does it a lot more than other genres, and that's something that's like cuz like I said earlier, I love for someone who hates people a lot, I love learning about people.
Right?
You know,
Same.
like uh but
I I like learning about people, but not talking to them about it.
yeah, I'll talk to people I like about
Yeah.
things and learn about people through media.
Yes. I've always been that way.
But
I know we were talking about, I don't know, I blacked out and just started talking. That's kind of what I do when I talk about horror stuff, I guess, or anything that I geek out over. I know we were talking at one point about horror friends and like I've told my therapist this. Um, just like when I go to horror conventions, it's when I'm in my element. I'm not always chatty like this. I'm not always like just personable. I don't socialize. I'm very much an introvert and like
mhm.
INFJ or whatever the hell the most introverted person is. But if I go to horror conventions, I'm just like talking and talking to people I've never met and just being all excited, and
Yeah.
which is why this is the perfect kind of podcast for me.
Yeah, I get similar, not necessarily just with horror, but anything I geek out about.
Yeah,
I'm very introverted and I don't like to talk unless I'm around people I'm comfortable with, and then you'll never
yeah.
get me to shut up, and that's then that's where I think we both are here.
The horror community though, they're like I was saying, they're a tight knit family. Like my horror people, even though I never hang out with them anymore, and but when I do see them, it's like I just went to our it's not exactly local, but it's shown locally film festival
Mhm.
that a friend of mine she produces. I can't remember what her title is, sorry. But she's kind of like the figurehead
Mhm.
for it, and it's a like film director genre entertainment thing, and I got to go to that locally and see some of my peeps, and that was great. Like I go to the grocery store and I just feel constantly like I'm being judged and I'm an alien and I don't fit in and I hate it there.
Yeah.
But I go to something like that, I'm like, I'm on my planet.
Yeah. These are my peeps. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get that.
yeah. So I
For
was just thinking about more about like why I'm like this
yeah.
horror person, and I was thinking about my sister because she's actually she was probably the biggest influence on me
Mhm.
because I told you before, I think that we would like after school we would come home and there would be reruns of the Addams Family on
Mhm.
every day during the week, and it was kind of our after school ritual to pop a bowl of popcorn and sit together in this one chair that we have, and every time the intro would go, the Adams Family song, and we would crunch our popcorn to the snap. Hop, hop. That's what we would do.
I love that. That's awesome.
That, and we would watch a regionally produced horror hosted creature feature stuff
Okay.
thing on the weekends. Like
Mhm.
right after Saturday Night Live, I think is when it came on, and we would watch those two together when she was
So
babysitting,
like
even though I was pretty young.
Elvira or whatever, but like local.
Exactly. It was
Yeah.
kind of like a regional, definitely a regional Elvira
Yeah.
person. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was that, and my sister got me. She got me hooked on so many horror things. Like she read all these Stephen King novels when I was still a little too young, and she would describe them to me. And she gets so excited when she describes shit. She's so animated, and being a kid, and like really like it really influenced me. And so I got into Stephen King. I have all her old Stephen King paperback novels that are so weathered. I just love them.
I still
And
gotta.
she was the first person to describe Return of the Living Dead, the movie, to me. She's like, and you cut the pieces apart, and the pieces come after you. And I'm like, oh, I need to see this. And Return of
That's
the Living
awesome.
Dead ended up being like half or a quarter of my childhood trauma in a good way. Like the tar man, just like he was in my basement as a child. Like that's the thing that was in one of the things that was in my basement that I was afraid of was tar man. Alan Troutman.
That's something I have to add to my homework too.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet?
I haven't seen any of those, which is
Oh, it's
funny
so
because
cheesy, but it's
it's
fantastic.
some of Fallen Wyvern's favorites. Like
He likes Return of the Living Dead?
he loves all zombie movies. Like
Yeah.
I've seen the new Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead,
Yeah. I liked it
which was
a
really
lot.
good. But I don't have any basis for comparison as well because I didn't watch the old ones. But that's the only one I've seen. But it's on my list.
Have you seen Night of the Living Dead yet? The
No,
original? Okay.
no. I know bits of it because of pop culture and
I talked about my sister. My mom was kind of an influence on not as much as my sister. My sister was like 99% of my human influence on
oh
scary stuff when I was a kid. But my mom, like, she called them weirdos, and she would like to watch. They were a little bit more tame than a lot of the horror movies out there, and some of them were just like mysteries or
yeah.
dramas or whatever. But she would like get all excited and clap her hands and call them weirdos, and we'd watch those together. So she had a streak of that in her.
Yeah. So I remember, okay, you mentioned earlier, like I thought you talked about your mom, and I forgot where my mom came in on that because like she didn't like horror movies,
Hmm.
but we'd always watch like murder mystery, like like the documentaries with serial killers, um, and hauntings.
Yes.
We liked watching documentaries about hauntings, and so like true crime, hauntings, spooky things, like that. Like she didn't really like horror movies, but she loves stuff like people's horror stories, like
Real
people's ghost
horror.
stories. Yeah, exactly, like real
Yeah.
ghost stories of whatever.
Hell yeah.
Those were the things that I would watch with her that got
Yeah.
me into stuff. But I think that was still after all the Simpsons,
Yeah.
Simpsons stuff. Like I remember one of the things we watched, that one that freaked me out the most actually. There's one just about a ghost at a bar, and just the way they presented on the show really scared me, and that's just how I visualize ghosts. After that, kind of like because they just had
Their
an
special
actor,
effects.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
they just had an actor sitting there, but they just had the blue lighting on him, so that
Uh-huh.
he looked creepy and kind of translucent, but he wasn't. Like,
So when you think of Ghost, you think of that.
yeah. And I
That's
remember one
great.
day I thought I had a ghost watching me in my room, and looking back now as like an adult, now that I wasn't like terrified at 2 in the morning as a child, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure it was just my dad looking in on me and just the
Oh.
weird lighting in the hallway. And it's like, I think I came to the realization one day when I was looking in on Mini Jew, but I'm like, just checking to see if he's asleep or whatever. I'm like, I think that was just my dad just sneaking a look to make sure I was asleep and not like, I don't know, dead.
Right.
You
Like
know.
you do. Like you do.
Yeah, and I think I just in some weird dreamscape filtered him to look like that blue lighting, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
funny.
stuff like that. Also like anything like ancient Egypt was like my mom, like anything ancient history, but especially Egypt was like my mom and mine's jam. So like
Nice.
mummies.
Cool.
So I've always had a thing for mummies.
My
Yeah.
my parents, both of them, they watched, and my dad still watches some of like the unsolved mystery type stuff,
Yep.
and
Hmm.
a little. My dad's over the years gotten more into like he loves Sasquatch, and it's so weird because he's kind of a Republican redneck guy.
Hmm.
Even, but he hates modern Republicans now, which is awesome.
That's good to hear.
But he's yeah, he's not just, he grew up on a farm and stuff, but he's just like he's developed into such an interesting dude. And he loves Sasquatch, and he watches all the squatching shows, and now he's been watching like alien shows and all this, and like
Oh.
he can't handle horror though. He says he tries once in a while to see what I'm all about, and he's like, I can't deal with
Growing up on a
it.
farm in the county in the dark, he has to have some scary stories
Oh
that you should
shit.
get for him from him for later for another episode.
Why have I never asked my dad? Oh my god, that's a
Yeah,
great idea. I'm gonna put
cause
it on a
you
trolley.
got the whole don't whistle outside at night. I know
The
I
whole
didn't
what? Whistle outside at night?
don't whistle outside at night
I
thing.
think I've heard that.
Yeah, that's a not a myth, but like a not a wives' tale advice. I don't know. I think it might be a superstition. Don't whistle outside at night. That's just for me a good one in general because you don't want to make noise at night and draw attention
Yeah.
to yourself at night. But I just like I know there is not necessarily anything necessarily happened, but definitely things look weird at night, and especially out in the county on a farm. I grew up in a little town and it was dark enough compared to where I live now.
Mhm.
I don't
Same.
have any stories, but I know I was constantly afraid to look out at night.
I always loved it. Like the night in a small town.
Oh no, I went out at night. I loved being
Yeah.
outside at night, but it's being in your house and looking out the window
Right.
at night
Yeah.
freaked me out.
Yeah. Oh
But
my god, that
yeah.
reminds me of the first time I ever saw sorry, I'm making a note right now. The first time I ever saw Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh my god.
Have you seen that one?
I have not seen that one,
It's
but
so
it's on.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that's one of
Oh
Paul
Jesus.
Member's favorites. Not like favorites, but it's one he's like, no, it's really funny.
I think I was 17 maybe, or 18. I was still just young enough to kind of be scared,
Yeah.
which 17, 18 probably is too old for that, but yeah. My family was remodeling, not redoing the house, and like tearing up all the carpet, and we just had like bare wood floor at the time, not hardwood, but
Hmm.
plywood stuff. And I was also super sick. Like I swear I had hantavirus or some shit. Like it was bad. But I was like all feverish, and the first time I ever saw this fucking movie, and we had no curtains at that time because they'd taken them down,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it was night, and like there's a scene in the movie where they're like running around someone's house at night, and I was just like, fuck.
What? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually really skeptical. I'm an atheist skeptic hard ass, I guess, but I just fucking love it and I want to believe it.
Hmm.
I should get one of those
Yeah.
posters. I want to believe. But
Yeah. And like, I mean, there's enough weird science stuff in the world too, right? That even the spooky thing, even if it's explained, it's still freaking wild, I'm sure.
yeah.
Like, I've got a whole like I'm also like I'm not remotely religious. I don't really believe in any of that stuff. Um, but like I don't even know if I believe in spirits necessarily, but I definitely believe the whole
Yeah.
energy theory.
Yeah.
And like we got energy running through us. That's what keeps us going. So like
Mhm.
it wouldn't surprise me if that left a mark somehow.
Yeah.
when people pass away. So like, or it could just be the shifting of a building. you know, like you hear
Right.
footsteps on the stairs as your building shifting or whatever.
Right. Right.
I know I used to get really freaked out when I'd hear in movement in our attic.
Mm-hmm.
Then I realized my cat just walks really heavy.
Nice.
Like she sounds like a person. Like you be downstairs and you know for sure no one's upstairs and she's walking around and then you're like, what the hell is that noise? Who's walking up there? And then she comes
Wow.
trundling down the stairs. She's just very heavy footed. She sounds like a person walking.
Cat scare.
Yeah. Let me tell you, laying awake at night, alone in the
Oh yeah.
house
Oh
with
shit.
sounds coming from your attic.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I'm always afraid that like some person has snuck up there to squat or something and that they've been listening to
I
me. I
watched.
shouldn't say that out loud.
They're
Just in
onto
case it's
you.
true.
But like I saw, there's a video I'd seen once. Someone had like put cameras in their house because they were suspicious of something that was going on, like things going missing and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
there was someone squatting literally in their cupboards. And it was
Wow.
like it was something I think about every time I hear a noise up in our attic because we have a very roomy attic. Someone could totally be squatting up there. We'd
Jeez.
know though, our cats go up in there all the time.
So, oh, okay.
Yeah. But like we also have like the parts between the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where when we opened everything up, we found weird shoes and shit back there when we first
Oh
opened out.
yeah.
Yeah, when we first bought our
Fucking
house.
crazy.
Yeah, there's totally room enough for someone to like climb in
You
there and
have
live.
someone living in the walls.
And we could totally have that happening in our attic
That's
and we would
always the
never
best
know.
thing.
Yeah.
Not in real life, but
Yeah.
I love that trope.
That's a creepy trope and I love it. But like
Yeah.
we would never know. Unless we went and checked and found them. And I don't want to do that. I'm just gonna live blissfully in ignorance.
There are a couple movies that I'm thinking of right now that
Yeah.
talk about that.
And whoever you are living in our attic walls, enjoy your life.
Uh-huh.
Just don't come near me.
Right.
We'll live separately from each other.
I've never even looked at our attic.
Don't do it.
The access is in the garage and it's not like a big one, I don't think.
Yeah, no, ours was gonna be our bedroom for a while, but prices.
Uh-huh.
Everything went up and then I quit my job and now we can't afford to renovate anything. So
But
and then
someday.
one day it would be nice to make that our attic, like the attic
So you
being
can
like our
finish
master
your attic.
bedroom.
It's big enough.
Yeah, it's big enough to be
Yeah.
like a proper like
Nice.
giant bedroom.
I do want to give a shout out to this. I'm wearing this shirt today because this is one of my formative horror things that I used to watch growing up and love it. Love everything
So like
about it.
what is it exactly? Is it like Tales from the Crypt and like Creepshow and stuff? Or is
Oh,
it
you've not seen it.
No, I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Oh shit. For some reason I thought you had. Yeah,
No.
it's an episodic thing just like that.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily as hokey as Tales from the Crypt.
Tales of the Crypt is pretty hokey. It's part of
Yeah.
what I love
But
about
that's why
it.
we love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a cult classic for a reason.
Yeah,
Um
exactly.
it takes itself a little more seriously most of the
Mhm.
time.
Okay.
I don't remember all the episodes and I need to catch up, but yeah.
Yeah.
I've got two favorite episodes from it.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, I used to watch that a lot growing up, and I watched Tales from the Crypt
Mhm.
growing up, and
That's one thing I'm surprised I've never said. I don't watch Tales from the Dark Side because one thing you'll probably find out about me throughout this podcast is I love anthology horror more
yeah,
than any horror. And I love anthologies in general. Just like
uh-huh.
little episodic things that like go into short like little stories about stuff, but horror especially, I find anthology is like the perfect. I mean,
Hmm.
there's not really any perfect anything, but like it's just I just have so much more fun with it,
Yeah, yeah.
and I don't know.
Shorts are
I love
fantastic.
shorts, especially horror shorts. Like,
Yeah, yeah. That's what that whole genre film festival I was talking about was. It
hmm
was mostly horror shorts. I mean, they have like sci-fi and western too, but
yeah.
yeah.
Maybe it's just how shorts just only give you a taste and they get you thinking. And I
Mm-hmm.
really like I'm a very creative person. I like writing. I like making up stuff. I like looking at something that was created and seeing if there's a way I can make it better. Like, So, or more, no, this is better, but it's like, this is probably what I would have done with that story, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So when they give you something that's like short, that only gives you some of the info, it gets you questioning, and I love questioning and trying to come up with my own answers. I don't know if Tales from the Crypt really gave me a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Because it was a little more campy and cheesy or whatever. It was
Yeah.
more the ridiculousness of it that I liked. There were occasional questions, but there was definitely a lot of that was horribly written. Here's what I would have done.
Yeah.
That came out of that, and I think that's why I liked it so much. There's also a lot of really good ones. The quality dipped and peaked a lot
Yeah.
when it
It was
came to
kind of
Tales from
a
the Crypt.
hit or miss, but it was always
Yeah,
enjoyable.
yeah.
Yeah. And well, they're all like that, really. All the episodic stuff like that.
Hmm.
I love it for the most part. There are some times when it like when the director I know they're trying to make you draw your own conclusions and
Hmm.
because sometimes your own imagination is scarier than anything they could show you, which I totally get.
Yes.
But like the Blair Witch. Oh my God, the Blair Witch
I
succeeds
haven't
at that
seen that
so
one
much.
that
The
one
Blair Witch
either.
Project,
Yeah, mostly
the
because
original one.
it's shaky cam.
Oh, right. Yeah,
I
that
can't
makes
motion
sense.
sickness. I will probably pop a gravel and totally do that though.
Yeah. Oh, that.
What is
I
it?
think it was when the Blair Witch came out
Yeah.
that I also that's what it was. I rented and played the first Silent Hill on my PlayStation, or I tried to. I didn't get very far because
Oh.
I'm a huge horror fan and I'm a brave person, but I can't actually play things where I get killed. It's too much anxiety, so I make other
Yep.
people do it, and that's
Mhm.
why streamers are awesome. But so it was like the same week that came out and The Sixth Sense came out, and then I rented that, and I want to say I was like 19ish, and I started sleeping with the light on again.
Yep. Mhm.
I would like jump from my bedroom door to my bed like a child, and
Mhm.
that was like for a couple weeks after all that shit.
Silent Hill messed me up pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. I took it to
Um.
my sister's house and made her finish it.
It's funny. I know I had. So I have similar things. Not. I can't be chased. I don't like being chased in games.
Mm.
Which is weird. They love Dead by Daylight so much. Maybe it's
Right?
just because it's not so. Maybe it's because the point is to be
That's the
like
whole point of the game.
honestly like half the point of the game is to get killed. And generally, I'm doing it. And it's also multiplayer that helps too. Some days it does get to me, and I have to stop because I'm like, no, this is too much. It's hitting my anxiety too hard today. I can't. But most of the
Mhm.
time, it's like you're playing with friends and you're having fun, and like I'm sometimes not even getting chased. I'm just running into the killer so that I can sacrifice myself for my friends.
Yeah.
But like I remember I had to stop playing Amnesia because the chasing. Like I loved that game,
Yeah. Was that
but
the
the
one where
being
people just pop up behind you too?
yeah, the one I have
With
a
the
bunch of clips
insanity
of.
meter?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And like I remember it was you and Motos were watching me that day
Yeah.
when I had my panic attack and I had to walk away for a few minutes. Or
Mm.
not a few minutes. It was like half an hour I took a break for. Like it was a long time because I was trying to like push myself through it to try and start, but the thought of pushing myself through it would cause me more of a panic. So I can't play the Resident Evil games for the same reason. I love
Yeah.
watching the Resident Evil games, but I can't be physically in charge of the controller.
Physically in charge is the problem.
Yeah, like I would love to watch someone play Amnesia. I think I have watched a couple play Amnesia, but it's parts I'd already seen, so like I didn't get anything new out of it.
Hmm.
Um, that's something I plan to do eventually, but I can't play it because you can't fight back against the monster.
Hmm.
And maybe that's what it is about Dead by Daylight, because you're being like chased, but you can't attack them back, you can't defend yourself, but you have things
Yeah.
you can do. You have special abilities to help you get past it, or strategies. It's like sometimes you are literally throwing yourself in the killer's way so that someone can get some gens done, or so that they
Yeah.
don't die because they're on. So there's maybe it's because I'm too busy thinking about the things I need to do that I'm not focusing on the fact that I'm being chased
Hmm.
helps. But Amnesia, which is like I'm just being chased and I can't figure out what to do next while I'm having
Yeah.
this panic, and the fact that I don't know what to do next, I had to stop. But and same with Resident
Yeah.
Evil. That's why I make Fallen Over and play it for me, and I watch him.
Same.
Yep.
Wodos plays the spoopies and I watch.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping we're going to be able to stream us doing that eventually.
soon as he
Yeah.
sets up stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, even like old arcade games and stuff give me anxiety.
Yeah.
Like even like Pac-Man and Frogger, I just if I have a risk, if I'm in control and I have a risk of dying, not so much.
Yeah, it's
All
weird.
the Lego games are fine because you just explode into Legos and then you're fine
And then you get
again.
respawned again. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It just depends. It's weird what triggers are run differently. But Silent Hill is definitely a good game for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we could just try and do a quick cover of the things that we are wanting to do with the channel.
Yes. What we want to see
So
with this channel.
yeah, and we're open to suggestions and requests. Like,
Yeah.
want to cover anything spoopy, people's stories, horror movies, true crime, maybe if it's particularly spoopy or disturbing, maybe.
Maybe.
I don't want to traumatize people or trigger anybody. We could put warnings, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Warnings are important.
yeah.
I definitely
Um,
I want segments where I love the being able to do reactions of us watching, but we have limited ability to do so because of copyright and all that. So definitely we have to have Night of the Living Dead episode where
yeah.
we get to watch it together and then everyone can watch us react and we can Mystery Science Theater it.
Do you want to assign each other like just a straight up movie to watch before next time, or
We have something to read. It doesn't have to always be
or read?
movies. We can
Yeah.
read things.
Oh, when you were talking about episodic stuff, that made me
Ooh.
think of since I used to be such a voracious reader and Stephen King was my jam. I've read so many Stephen King and neglected everything else on the planet. These days, I don't allow myself any time to read.
It's hard to find time to read.
Yeah, or spoons.
Yeah.
And when and if I ever do, it's usually collections of short stories,
Yeah.
novelettes, like Ray Bradbury and, well, Stephen King, of course.
He's got a few.
Yeah. So those would be good too to recommend.
Yeah, I know that's one of the things. I remember I was texting you guys trying to figure out what Stephen King books to buy because my experience with Stephen King was a little traumatizing.
It was Gerald's Game, right?
It was Gerald's Game. Yeah, that was the first
Yeah.
one I ever read, and I was way too young. I was 12. I didn't really know. I knew what sex was. I didn't know what sex was, and I didn't understand abusive relationships. I didn't even know what the C word was before that game. I don't know for a game, that book. I don't even know if we're allowed to say it on here. I'm assuming I can, but just in case.
Like the see you next Tuesday word?
See you next Tuesday. That's where
Yeah.
I learned that word.
Yeah.
Was Gerald's Game.
I
And
learned a
like
lot of sex stuff from Stephen King.
and like it was just there was so much about it that I never finished it. I've now watched the Mike Flanagan movie, which was amazing.
Yeah,
He
of
did
course.
such a good job because he's amazing. I'm sure we can have a
Uh-huh.
whole freaking episode about Mike Flanagan and how
We
great
should.
his stuff is because
We
I still
should.
have to watch. Was it Midnight Club?
Midnight Mass? Oh,
No,
Midnight. Right, the
yeah,
Midnight
I've watched
Club.
Midnight Mass. Midnight Mass was
Fucking loved
oh my god.
Midnight Mass.
I rave about Midnight Mass. Any chance I can, I need to rewatch it.
It's so beautiful.
It's
So perfect. It like
so
hits
good.
all my
Yeah.
notes about like religion
Yeah.
and but subversive stuff and anyway, yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about it in that episode later, the Mike
Yeah.
Flanagan episode. But Midnight Club's on there. There's something else he was making that I got because my follower would be like, "Oh, Mike Flanagan's doing this," and I'm just like, "Oh," but I don't remember what it was.
Well, Midnight Club.
Midnight Club is the one that came out after Midnight Mass, I think.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one
I
yet.
haven't watched it either. It's on.
He's
It's
doing Follow the
up
House of
there.
Usher series too. That's gonna
That
come out soon.
might have been what I was thinking
Soonish.
of, but I don't know.
Yeah, and he's going to hopefully be doing a series of the Dark Tower. I think
Maybe that was what it was
Stephen
that I heard
King
rumors about.
crossover.
Yeah. I don't remember what it was. I know I heard he was doing a TV series coming up that got me really excited. But there's so many things I've been excited about lately, media wise, I can't keep them straight.
Yeah.
But he's definitely whenever you see his name on it, you're
Yeah.
probably in for a treat. Did you watch the? Because I know Wodos had watched it. Or I think he watched it. Maybe he just read the book.
Gerald's Game?
Yeah.
Yeah, we both watched it.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah.
Again, trying to keep track of who watched what. It's hard sometimes. But
Yeah.
because I remember I'd finally sat down to watch it because I was like, I'm never going to be able to sit through the book again. But I want to see, one, how it ends, and then it's just. He did such a good job of getting everything
Yeah.
across.
I read it when I was about that age too, and it was either the first or second Stephen King book I ever read.
Mhm. Yeah. I remember when I took it at the library because my parents, I don't think they knew about Gerald's Game.
Yeah.
They were like, "Yeah, you can read Stephen King. It's fine." I'm like, "Okay, cool," because I asked
Yeah, this
permission
is
for
about
those
a sex
things.
game. Come on.
Yeah. I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "You can read Stephen King," and so I took it out, and the librarian's like, "Are you sure?" Now, I spent my whole childhood in the library.
Yeah.
I didn't really hang out with my friends except for the friends that also hung out at the library.
Nice.
So a whole summer I would spend in the library. After school, I'd go to the library. So the librarian and I had a rapport.
Of course.
If I said my parents would let me read it, she knew my parents would let me read it. She didn't have to check with them.
Yes.
She probably should have checked with them.
Yeah. But you
'Cause
turned out fine.
I turned out fine. I'm great.
We're fine. Since we're on the topic and I have the thought in my head, I think we should do a
Oh,
sex and death episode.
a sex and death episode? That could be.
Sex and death, boobs and blood, whatever.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I could talk for a long time about like reaching adolescence during 80s sexploitation horror
Yeah.
stuff, and I think a lot of people probably have gone through
It
that
would
too.
be good too because I was never allowed to watch that stuff. I also would have been younger, so
Mm-hmm.
I would have been even later watching it anyway, but I would have experienced it as an adult in most cases, so that would be an interesting
Oh, true. Yeah.
conversation comparing our experiences.
Nice. Because I was just thinking also, I like a lot of the sex scenes from different Stephen King novels have stuck with me all these years just because they're so different
I can
and
imagine.
odd. Yeah. Like
Uh,
there's the chick, I don't know, have you read Needful Things?
No,
Okay.
no.
There's a, it's not really a spoiler, it's just a detail.
Yeah, that's fine.
There's a chick who like humps a picture,
Okay.
a photo in a frame. It stuck with me all these years for some reason. Like she does it a lot. And then there's I think it was one of the Castle Rock stories. He like picks the sheriff picks his wife up
Okay.
with her see you next Tuesday, like, and she rides his hand? Like,
Oh, wow. Strong
yeah,
hand.
yeah. These things stuck with me because I read them at a very pubescent age.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I remember because I wouldn't say see you next Tuesday until very recently. The word bothered me so much because of
Yeah, I know a
how
lot
it
of people.
was used in Gerald's Game. Not
Um,
because, obviously it depends how it's used, because, I still don't like it if people are using it as an insult or as,
yeah,
in the context of Gerald's Game. It's
yeah.
still really because I was young. My parents did a pretty good job of sheltering me from terrible people.
Hmm.
So I didn't really have much chance to experience anything that intense as far as sexism goes
Yeah.
and how terrible misogynistic men are.
Yeah.
So that was my first time experiencing it, and I didn't have anyone to talk about it with. So I kind of internalized it,
Yeah.
and I didn't really have any experience knowing anyone, or at least not that they talked to me, who had had any sort of trauma around sex in their childhood like the main character did. So I also internalized that a lot. So there was just a lot from Gerald's Game that probably wasn't necessarily that
Mm.
bad, but because I didn't feel like I could talk to anyone about it, I internalized a lot of it. And then I just never picked up another Stephen King book again because I was like, ugh, no.
Nice.
you
Oh,
know.
that
But I
was
like a
that
lot.
Jessie, the chick? Was she Gerald's wife?
Yeah, I don't know if that was her
The
name.
girl from Dolores Claiborne? Or is that, am I thinking of something else?
I don't remember. But I just know like she had that incident in her childhood.
Yeah. Was there an
Uh,
eclipse?
yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay, so she
I think
comes
she
up
was
later.
Jessie.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I need to rewatch it.
it's good. It's
Yeah.
really good. Like I was nervous it was gonna suck because movie adaptations are always a struggle.
Right. Especially with Stephen King's history of movie adaptations. I love them all. I love them all. But
I
not
don't
all of
even
them are
know if I've
great.
seen them all either. Like I know I've seen both It's. I've seen he was a Green Mile, wasn't he?
Yeah.
One of my favorite
That was
movies.
a good adaptation.
That was a good adaptation. I haven't seen Maximum Overdrive, but that's high on my list to get to.
It's a cult classic.
I've heard it's quite horrible in only the best way.
It is. It is. It
uh,
scared me when I was little when it came out, of
I can
course.
imagine it would be scary when you're little.
Which is why I love the Stephen King movies, even though a lot
Yeah.
of them are terrible. Sorry, Stephen King and everybody
Yeah.
else.
I haven't watched Dark Tower yet, but I've heard only bad things.
Well,
I also haven't read Dark Tower yet, so I wouldn't have any basis for comparison. So
yeah. I'd be do you think you'd watch it before you read it?
I kind of wanted to read it.
Okay.
But I also know I've been trying to read Neuromancer for like 3 months now.
Yeah.
And I'm hooked on Neuromancer. So like I remember the one book I really like is Circe by Madeline Miller. Not really spooky, but I guess it could be spooky because it's all about Circe. She did spooky things.
Yeah.
She's a witch, just Greek.
Right. Right.
But
I remember her from mythology.
yeah, she's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But and that book is amazing. It's a very easy read. It took me over 3 years to finish because I just couldn't bring myself to pick up a book. It was a weird thing, ADHD stuff.
I've been that way for the last almost 20 years.
Yeah, I used to read so many books, and I'm really sad I
Yeah.
don't anymore.
I used to devour them. Like,
Yeah.
read a book in a day.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was never that fast because I was very slow. I'm a slow reader, and I've always been a slow reader. But I
I am now.
would just dedicate so much time to reading it that it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Like I would still get it done in like a week or something because I would just spend hours and hours a day reading.
I'm hoping eventually I won't be as all over the place.
Well, we'll get a
thinking.
feel. I mean, it'll
Yeah.
probably be easier on themed episodes.
Yeah.
Like this is a let's just talk about ourselves, which means we're
Yeah.
gonna chat at forever, and then we'll just
Yeah, I'm like a kid just showing a new friend all my toys or something. Like, oh, I love
yeah.
this, and I love this,
I
and I
love
love this, and this happened. Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be easier to make it themed. Like the specific, this is the goal of the episode. The goal of this episode was just to chat,
Yeah. And introduce
and that
ourselves.
kind of gets wandery. So there's
Yeah.
probably gonna be a lot of this that you don't see. But yeah, I was just really excited when you like suggested this because I'm like I love the idea of just sitting and talking about some of my favorite shit with some really like a really cool person. That
Yeah.
sounds great. That's what I
Yeah.
want to do.
Same.
So
And like, I haven't really like been able to do this for 25 years, maybe. Like, just sit and
yeah.
talk scary shit with people. I mean, I have, but it's just most people are too busy and they just don't get into the conversation, and
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just having a set time block
Yeah.
to just really let loose and do it is awesome.
Well, yeah, 'cause even like the people in our lives that are super into it as well. Like, okay, great. I sat down and watched all the Tales from the Crypt recently with Fallen Drinks. That's one of his favorite things. And we dissected every episode. We talked about it. And we still sometimes will be like, oh, remember this? And like talk about it again. But like, we also have shit to do.
Yeah.
Like we gotta go do groceries or we gotta go like, so it
Yeah.
gets in the way and it gets distracting. So it's nice to have like no, we're talking about this and nothing else. I say nothing
Yeah.
else will get in the way, but we start talking about everything else. But
Yeah. That's okay. We have editing.
exactly.
We were talking about homework.
Homework. Yeah. Maybe we should just both give each other homework to read some Junji Ito because honestly, I only know two of his stories. Like I only read two of his stories, just short stories. I know that spirals exist, but I don't know what it is. And
I know it's about spirals.
I know it's about spirals, but I don't know what it means. I've been told about the balloon one.
I don't know anything about that.
It's pretty fucked up. There's actually a Pokemon that is similar. It's a little less death involved.
Wow. Okay.
But there, because Mini Jupe was telling me about a Pokemon, Drifloom, which is a balloon-ish looking Pokemon, and it
Mhm.
drifts about,
I think I've
and
seen it.
it lures children
Oh.
away,
Oh.
and they become Driflooms themselves.
Oh.
And I just looked at him. I'm like, that is some Junji Ito shit right there.
Yes.
Because like I'm not into Pokemon. I shouldn't say I'm not into Pokemon. I'm not up on Pokemon anymore. But yeah, so it's that level of. So I know about it. I know what it's about, but I haven't read it. And again, with Junji Ito, it's how he puts it across that really hits. So knowing what happens isn't gonna.
Yeah. I definitely want to do challenges or like when we hit a certain thing,
Yep.
do something, and it's got to be spooky.
Oh, that was what I was gonna say. If anyone has suggestions or things they want to see, which I think you did say earlier, but just in case it gets cut out of the conversation because of something,
Yeah.
yeah, just let us know things you want to see. Uh, any of your thoughts and opinions? Like, what's your favorite? What's your favorite scary movie?
What is your favorite scary anything?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's we're gonna have a lot of questions for all of you, and we're gonna have a lot of stories, personal stories,
Mhm.
and other people's stories. I hope.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Um, if, we
I,
should probably set up somewhere people can like send us stuff that they don't want to have just in the comments.
what do you mean?
Like if they want
Like
to send
suggestions
us,
and comments and stuff?
yeah, like if they want to send us a
Yeah.
spooky story or something, they might want to
Yeah.
email it to us.
Oh, we have an email.
We do have an email. I forgot.
Yeah. Spoop and Joop. Let me.
Gmail.com, Spoop N Joop
We can throw the link down
in the doobly doo.
in the doobly doo. I like that. The
Yeah,
doobly doo. That's not what
I forgot we made an email so that we could have everything go to it.
we did.
I should check that
Let
email.
me let me for
Oh wait,
our
no, I've been getting
podcast listeners.
notifications.
What?
I guess that's one thing I should point out. Yeah, I've been getting notifications at it just of because we made the Spoop and Joop TikTok. We have a TikTok, everybody.
We do have a TikTok.
Yeah, which I don't know how that content's gonna go. Probably just as we probably funny clips mostly.
Yeah,
When we just like go off the rails
right.
eventually.
And
Um,
possibly like random clips from maybe paranormal investigations that we end up doing because I
Yep.
want to do that.
Yep. They'll probably be more on your side. I don't know if I'll have as much content for that. My
For
area's
our
not especially
listeners,
spoopy, but
out there, our email address is spoopnjoop, not in, just the letter n, spoopnjoop at
spoop and jupe.
gmail.com. It's one word, spoopnjoop at
Kind of like the
gmail.com.
logo, but all one
Yes,
word and no
no apostrophe.
no apostrophe.
Spoopnjoop at gmail.com.
And it'll be in there down below. I'll type it
Yeah.
out. That's also where you find us on TikTok and on
Yes.
YouTube.
Yes.
Just in case you're listening to it on podcast and not on
And
YouTube.
yeah,
No.
yeah, right? I
Yeah.
follow two things, and it's us and Wodos. And oh
Mhm.
no, three things. You,
Yeah, me.
Commander Jupe.
Mhm. Mhm.
Commander
Yep.
Jupe is also a streamer, a gamer.
And I
In
do have a
case you
TikTok
didn't
and a
know.
Facebook and a Twitter as well.
Yep, yep.
um,
So,
and I'm sure we'll have Wodos on here
oh yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. We should have Wodos on for a horror metal crossover because there's such a common ground there for a lot of
Yes.
people. And I want to talk about
Yes.
how that crossover, that sweet window that or whatever where horror fans and metal fans cross over, those are the
Mhm. Mhm.
sweetest, coolest, greatest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
So much I married one.
Yep. I don't like. I don't follow metal as much
Yeah, same. But
because I'm not like good at following the way a lot of metalheads do follow metal. I just
yeah,
really fucking like music, and I will listen to any music I like, and a lot
yeah,
of it tends to be metal or at least metal leaning. So,
yeah, yeah.
but I also
And
like
there's
a
a
lot of
lot of
pop.
metal heads that like are directors and make movies, like
Yep.
Adam Green and Dee Schneider, and yeah,
Yep.
and they're buds. But anyway,
It's true. It's true.
yeah, we can talk about them.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be a good
Yeah,
one to get Wodos on for.
yeah.
Also, probably anything Silent Hill, because isn't that Wodos' like whole?
What about Silent Hill?
We should probably have Wodos on if we talk about Silent Hill.
Oh yeah, and Resident Evil and all that
Yeah,
stuff. The stuff he's streaming.
that's actually how I met Wodos. Was my friend was on a Silent Hill message board.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we had just gotten into Silent Hill recently. My friend and I, or my roommate actually, and she had met Wodos on a Silent Hill message board, and then it was back in the LiveJournal days. They'd
Yeah.
added each other on LiveJournal, and then Wodos and I ended up talking on her LiveJournal a lot, and then so we ended up friending each other, and then
Yeah.
eventually met
And
you through
history is
Wodos.
made.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. So like,
See, horror brings people
it
together.
does. Lifelong friendships from Silent Hill,
One of
man.
my best friends that I never hang out with because I don't hang out with people.
Yep.
But one of my best horror friends, I met while filming a zombie web series.
Yep.
That's how we met. We were zombie extras.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I remember taking pictures from that. I just assumed it was a zombie walk. Was that what it was from? Like, I don't know if it's from that, but I've seen pictures of you in zombie
Yeah, it was
makeup.
from the web series. I can
That's
give you the
cool.
link. You can
Yeah,
watch it.
I'll just
It's
be
still
like,
out
that's
there.
spoopy.
Yeah. It's only got one really short season, but it's
Yeah,
fun.
that's still really awesome. I just
Yeah.
assumed it was a zombie walk because those happen all the time.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And
But yeah,
also, I want to thank everybody for joining us who did join us and followed through the whole thing and kept up with us
us going all over the place.
all over the place.
We'll
Expect
probably
more of this.
it'll probably be
Two,
less bad in the edit.
just two raccoons talking about spooky shit.
Getting distracted talking about not spooky shit.
Yeah, but it'll be fun.
It'll be fun. I think it'll be good. Yeah, I guess like if you liked it, here's the whole like and subscribe spiel that
Yeah.
people always give.
Yeah.
Tell your friends.
Yeah. Definitely.
Uh,
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell or whatever the kids are saying.
Yeah, if you hit the bell on YouTube, I don't know about the podcast.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do the thing.
Do the thing.
Do the
Chicken
thing.
wing. Do the thing, chicken wing.
Do the thing, chicken wing.